we continue our very interesting discussion on toxic friendships. We have covered what we define as a toxic friendship and the signs of a toxic friendship and relationship. But what happens when you need to get out of a friendship that has turned toxic? Now, Thobeka is back on the couch to help us through this very difficult process. Thobeka, what are those steps? How does it look like if you want to have an exit plan and leave a very toxic relationship?
Okay. Before you have an exit plan, you need to know what is going on. So I often have these 3 questions in mind. It is the what, the how, the why, and the wow.
Oh, and the wow.
The wow. Yes. It is the what. So what is going on here? So those are your internal conversations that you're having with yourself and looking at the reality of things. What am I going through? What happened? Was it me? Was it the person? Was it my friend? How do I? It's just you observing and doing a self-introspection at this point. So you're answering the what is happening. Yeah? And then you move on to how am I going to do this? Are you planning on leaving? But the key is before you leave, don't blue tick the person.
Yeah, I was going to say ghosting.
No, don't. Don't blue tick. Don't ghost. Don't ignore, communicate. And then we've got the why. The why is, why am I leaving?
Yeah.
So you go back to answering the what is happening, the reason why you are deciding to leave. So why am I leaving? So I'm leaving because the relationship or the friendship was no longer working for me. It was draining me more than it was putting in. It was a give, not a give, take. That's how it should be going. And then the last one.
The wow.
The wow. The wow is often my favorite one because that's when you go back to your drawing board after you've done all of the answering of questions and actually implemented all of them. The wow is where would you ideally want to be at. It's your wow moment, like, wow, I've actually managed to speak. I've managed to express myself. I've managed to identify the cause of the problem and where to from here.
So then that, to me, sounds like there has to be a lot of accepting reality.
Definitely. And the acceptance comes from you knowing what is going on. Because if you don't know what's happening, it will be difficult for you to accept. What would I be accepting if I don't know what is happening?
And for someone like me who, I won't call myself wishy-washy, but I'm such a sentimental person and it's so difficult to say goodbye. So how important is being clear of your intentions?
Okay. Being clear, it's important because it makes you, it helps you be aware of who you are. It requires self-introspection. And then it requires you answering the questions that you would ordinarily want the other person to answer. For example, often in relationships or friendships, we want to feel accepted and we want to feel needed, but we are expecting those things to be done by the other person. That is the key, expecting. But then why don't you do those things for yourself? That way the notion or the term self-care comes in.
Yeah.
Look after the self so that you can be able to look after others. You can't continue to be giving and giving and giving. At the end of the day, you'll be giving your cup and throwing it to the next person. That's when you crack, nah?
Yeah.
Because your cup is already dried up. So now it's time for you to come back, draw yourself back to you, pour your cup again, once again, and then you give again.
There has to be some sort of forgiveness within yourself to not talk ill of the next person and just to be able to find that peace. How important is forgiveness and peace?
It's easy for people to say forgive and forget. But in order for you to forgive, you need to know what's happened. And then you can be able to, after the introspection, you look at your own faults, you look at the other person's faults, and then you say, fine, this has been done, where to from here? You won't forgive and forget, but you'll forgive and move on.
Absolutely. And it's so difficult to look at your own wrongs. You say that you look at the other person's wrongs and you make peace with it, but you also need to look at how did I contribute to this whole situation? But at the end of the day, saying goodbye brings about grief. It's painful. How then do we manage those feelings?
Nurture. Nurture yourself and care for yourself. As I mentioned, the one thing that we often want is to receive the same hugs or the same nurturing feelings that we want to give off. So do that to yourself. Pamper yourself. Take yourself out. Get yourself that ice cream that you often used to do with that dear friend. But do it for yourself. Buy the flowers that you often want. Buy whatever, or go to the beach. That is costless. Go to the beach or find something creative that inspires you. And secondly, journaling, which is often a way of communicating. Hence, I was also emphasizing communicating your feelings across. Communicating can be verbal and non-verbal, but for healing to take place, there has to be a form of communication in whichever form. Communicating via writing, jotting down, journaling, or communicating verbally, or communicating spiritually. That is a form of healing and as well as acceptance. And it will be a grieving process for you to get your closure at the end of the day.
Thank you so much, Thobeka. You have definitely shed light on a very sensitive and tough subject. Thank you.
Thank you.
Remember, in order to lead a healthy and full life, you need to remove toxic people from it. Be aware of the red flags in your friendships. And if something doesn't feel right, it's more than likely not right.